Hey, welcome to Worship Leader Wednesday.
Hey,
the series.
Am I supposed to be here?
Yes. So Brad and I were having this conversation today, and we thought this is a great topic for a Worship Leader Wednesday video. And what is it that you said to me?
I like these kind of phrases.
You're about to hear. We're going to put on our pastor hats.
Yeah.
And we're going to throw some Christianese at you.
Straight up Christianese. You create the culture you tolerate.
Yes. Now let us unpack that for you.
Yes, let us.
I love it, man. I feel like I'm in a staff meeting. So you create the culture that you tolerate. That is a statement that, by unpacking it, what I think we can do.
You just tack some Christianese on that. Christianese.
I did.
Let's unpack that.
What I think we can do in this video is talk about why that statement is important, what it means, and we also talked through some, because we don't want to be people that just say, this is what you should be, this is what your ministry should look like.
Yeah, this is bad. Fix this.
And then not give you any ideas how. So
no practical
what
steps.
does it mean, but also what can you do in light of what it means, in light of what we're going to talk about, to make your ministry better?
If you don't address certain things and you let certain things go, or the things that you really do think you need to address and you always address those, whatever, either way, you are creating the culture that you are tolerating. The things you are addressing or aren't addressing is what creates the culture of your ministry.
So when I hear this statement, when you said this to me, what I immediately thought is, this principle is why so many churches maybe you're a worship leader or you're a pastor or you're in leadership, you look at your church and you say to yourself, the worship experience, it's not what I want it to be, and I don't know how it got this way, and I don't know how to make it better. And the reality is, it all rises and falls on leadership. If you're the leader, it's your fault, and it's your responsibility to fix. What are things that you might be tolerating that is setting culture that you don't want? Some really easy ones that we're going to talk about how to correct that really make a huge difference are people showing up on time. Are you showing up on time? By the way, if you're the leader, on time for you should be probably an hour before time for everybody else.
If I can't be there an hour early, I get stressed.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have enough time, because even if I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs, I would rather be doing that at the place I need to be, rehearsal, whatever. I'd rather be doing that than getting there 10 minutes before everybody and rushing around as everybody's showing up.
So we're basically hitting Fuller's 3 Ps, which he talks about in the Worship Manual Volume 1. Check it out, links below. Ooh. Are you on time? Yeah. Are you punctual?
Yeah.
Are you the volunteers underneath you in your ministry, are they showing up prepared? P number 2, punctual, prepared. Are they showing up prepared? Are you showing up prepared? Are you giving your volunteers the tools that they need to be prepared? Because if you are not, you're setting a culture of not being prepared. And worship services are a hot mess because nobody knows what they're doing. And nobody knows what they're doing because worship leaders, us, you, all of us,
we, family,
don't give people the tools that they need to show up to rehearsal prepared, and don't set the expectation that is what is expected of them. So these are questions you can ask yourself. And if you want to attract, this is hard stuff here, if you want to attract and keep high capacity level musicians, volunteers in your ministry, if what you're doing in rehearsal on Sundays, if it's a hot mess, if there's a lack of preparation, a lack of people being on time, a lack of discipline, a lack of organization, people that are high capacity are not going to stay. They don't want to be a part of that. It wastes their time, and it wastes their potential.
Yeah. Another way of saying what you're saying is excellence will attract excellence.
Excellence attracts excellence.
So if you
more Christianese.
If you are excellent in everything you do, your people are going to see that, and somebody who is excellent and has skill, they're going to be like, I want to be a part of that. And so that's one thing. Figure out your strengths, figure out your weaknesses.
Yeah.
do things, not like highlight, like spotlight, everybody look at me, I'm amazing. Not that kind of like highlight your strengths, but like figure out what those are, figure out your weaknesses are, and surround yourself with people whose strengths are your weaknesses.
Okay, so the first half of this video is really, and I think hopefully we've communicated, what does this principle mean? And hopefully it's given you some ideas to think about, how am I as a leader allowing things to go on in my ministry that I don't want to happen, that are contributing to difficulties that we're having, contributing to things like our transitions are terrible all the time. Well, maybe you never talk about and practice how to get from one song to the next in your rehearsal.
Or
probably a red flag.
When it doesn't go well, you don't talk about that it went poorly. Like having those hard conversations, like we practice this, guys, like, and ask questions, because that's the way we should be. You don't just like cast judgment. Like ask a question like, all right, guys, that transition didn't go well. Anybody have any ideas? What did we do wrong? And it's not you, it's we. It's not them, it's us, right? What did we do wrong, or what could we do to get better? Because if you don't have that hard conversation, people may not think that you really care.
Exactly.
Like if they just see that you let things happen, you tolerate them, right? If people just see that you, like, things happen, they may take that little bit of an inch, and next thing you know it, they're taking a mile, and your ministry is like, what is going on? I don't have any control over it. Nothing goes the way I want it to, but it starts by they're hard conversations. But you have to ask the questions. What did we do wrong? What can we do to get better?
And people will naturally, it's a law of physics. It's called entropy. Things go from a state of order to a state of chaos naturally, unless you do something to change it. So
Brian's a scientist.
I am. Yeah. Well, I was.
I'm a tone scientist.
That's true. So people will naturally, like, things, if you don't keep things on the straight and narrow, things will just devolve into chaos naturally. Okay, so hopefully you've thought, okay, there are things that are happening that I need to change as the leader. I need to affect change in my ministry. Now we're going to try and give you some practical advice how to do that. So what are some things that you can do? The first thing is you have to realize that it starts with you. Starts with us. So if you want your ministry to be better, you need to be better first. And whatever you decide to do, and let's just take a few practical examples. The easiest one, and the one that is people, church, everywhere I've been, people are the most guilty of, showing up on time. If you want to change this, then the first thing you should do is get your team together, have a good time, have fun, have some fellowship. There's a Christian word for you. I understand during a pandemic you can't do this, but this is something you can plan for the time when we'll be able to get back together. This is actually a great time to think about, how can I begin to reboot my ministry after churches are able to come back and meet in person. Get your team together, have some fun, do some things that build community, but then sit down with your team and lay some groundwork out for how things are going to be better. And being on time should be like way up at the top of that list. But for you as the leader, it means you're going to have to be on time. And again, on time for you should be an hour before on time for everyone else. If your rehearsal starts at 6 p.m., show up at 5. Spend that hour making sure everything works, getting everything ready, laying out cables for people where they're supposed to be, testing channels on the board, booting up computers. I'm saying all these things because you're probably thinking in your head, oh yeah, I showed up at 5:55 and none of that stuff worked. And rehearsal was 30 minutes late because I was fiddling with all that crap. That's how it works.
Sometimes stuff happens. But you should give yourself time to do everything in your power to be as ready as possible. And then when rehearsal starts at 6, start at 6.
Start at 6?
And when it ends at 9 or whatever, first off, you should have a end time so people know. And stick to it. I have, what I've done both of these things. When rehearsal is supposed to start, sometimes if like I see like everybody's talking and everybody's there and I'm not waiting on anybody, everybody's talking, like I'll let it go. Fellowship's important. But I'm not gonna
build that into your rehearsal.
Build that in too. But I don't just sit there and like start like whatever and 30 minutes later. And like I will say that. I mean, I'll start like, hey guys, we're gonna get started. I want to be respectful of your time. Saying stuff like that could be a little passive aggressive, but if you truly mean it, that's another thing. I want to be respectful of your time. We're gonna get started. Didn't want to interrupt the fellowship. Like, everybody seemed to be chatting and having a great time, but we're gonna get going so we can get out of here on time. And our rehearsals end at 9. I have, in the middle of a song, we started a song and I wasn't paying attention, and it was 9:01. We were like not very far into the song. I asked my team stop the click track. I said, hey guys, I'm sorry. Notice it was 9 o'clock after 9. We're going to go ahead and end for today.
Yeah.
If you'll just do me a favor, run over that song a few more times this weekend. When we come in Sunday, we'll hit it one more time before we do run through. And like, I lead by example by saying, I want to make sure I get you out of here on the time that I expressed.
Yeah.
Even though it meant we didn't get to hit a song in its entirety like I wanted to.
Yeah. So what do you do if the bass player doesn't show up on time? I feel like one of the easiest ways to teach a person how important it is to show up on time is for the thing to be happening when they show up late.
There's that too. Yeah.
Like if I'm a volunteer at a church and I stroll in 5 minutes late and they're halfway through the first song, like, oh
yeah,
but you don't feel very good.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And you're not necessarily being a jerk or you're being rude, but you're valuing everybody else's time and you're going to keep going even though that one person wasn't there, because you don't want to make 95% of your team wait for one person, because that's not fair to them. If you notice a pattern in somebody, or maybe it's like the only time they've been late for a while.
Yes.
If it's the only time they've ever been late.
Let's talk about grace, yeah.
Just ask them, like, hey, is everything okay? Like, I actually had a guy this past Sunday. He's normally there 15, 20 minutes early. He didn't show up till right on time. And I actually texted, well, he showed up at like 7:02.
Yeah.
Call time was 7. I texted him at like 7:01. I was like, bro, are you all right? And like, genuinely meant it, because he's always early. Yeah. But the key is like, I didn't go off on the rails on him, and you don't go off on the rails on somebody. You just ask him a question, be like, hey, notice you strolled in a little later today, or a little later than normal, or maybe the case is, I notice every week you're serving, you kind of come in a little bit late. Is everything cool? Is there anything going on?
I think there are 2 questions that should be the first questions that a leader should ask a volunteer in any situation, whether they're not on time, they're not prepared, they did something just like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
The first question is, hey, is everything okay?
Yeah, how's everything going?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I noticed, is there something that you need prayer in your life, something we can come alongside you? Because often that's the case.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it is. And they may not want to tell you, but they may, you can probably read it if you can read people at all, you can tell when something's up.
Yeah.
The next question that I think is a really important one to ask before you're like, you should really be on time, is is what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
What can we do to help you? We want to start on time. You're not on time often. Is there something we can do to help? Like, can I arrange transportation for you? Can I help? Can I give you a reminder at a certain time during the day? You as the leader, hopefully you're willing to go out of your way to help people, rise up.
If it really means that much to you.
To the standard that you want,
then you'll be willing to do what it takes to make it work.
And so those 2 questions, though, is everything okay, and what can I do to help? The first question communicates the fact that you care about them as a person more than you care about the instrument that they play or the position that they fulfill on your team, because that's more important. The person is more important than what they do for the church. So that's what that communicates, and that's how we should be anyway as pastors in ministry. The second question communicates that you as a leader are willing to do what it takes to help them. And both of those things are very disarming.
Yeah.
In a situation where they might feel like, oh man, I'm always late.
You may have to have a handful of these because you've allowed certain things to happen and the culture has shifted in a few ways. Because if you talk to somebody who's late or who's always ill prepared, other people may realize, I guess this doesn't really matter. Like, we're here, and like, it's great if we like get the gist of the song, or it's like, it's great if we're like at least here for part of rehearsal or whatever. But you're gonna end up seeing other people kind of fall into that too. And it just starts with, and it's not easy.
Order into chaos.
What was it called again?
Entropy.
Entropy. These conversations, they feel hard they feel like hard conversation to us, but at the same time, it really is a matter of just checking in on somebody, and they're probably not going to perceive it as a hard conversation.
Especially if you lead with those two questions.
Yes.
So we've talked about being on time. You can apply this to being prepared as well.
Yeah.
But again, it starts with you as the leader. If you want people to show up prepared, if you want your guitar players to know the songs, your drummers to know the songs, vocalists to know the lyrics, background vocalists to know the harmonies, you need to give them the resources that they need to learn that stuff weeks in advance. And you need to communicate very clearly to them that at rehearsal, I want us to know the songs.
Yeah.
So that we don't spend 3 hours learning how to play 2 songs together when we could have spent that time learning how to craft this just really impactful, powerful worship experience. So hopefully this video, the things that Brad and I have talked about, has been insightful to you. We hope that maybe it's made you think, like, I have some very clear ideas how I can make my ministry better right now. That's the point of these things. We want them to be practical, and we want them to be universal. Like, you can apply being on time, you can apply to a church with 35 people and maybe 4 people on your worship team, or you can apply it to a church of 10,000 people. Let us know in the comments how much you enjoyed having Bradford in the Worship Leader Wednesday video series. Hopefully we'll get more of these coming out. Fuller and I have been talking about how to do these a little more remotely in some cases so we can pump them out faster. Links below to our worship manual courses, which are training courses that Fuller and I have done together to help you go from, like, I just got hired as a worship leader and I don't have a clue what I'm doing, which is where I started.
Yeah.
And
Same.
So we made that stuff to help get you started from the ground up. Links below for that. Subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. See you next time.